a copy of this book. This was a book we started with, but then I gave away my copy to someone, and then I didn't have one.
Sorry, I have yours with me.
I have a lot of copies of this, and I gave away to too many people, so I didn't have one copy for myself.
Oh, okay.
Now I went to one of my students that borrowed it from him.
No, I can bring yours.
It's okay, you can bring it, inshallah. So yeah, inshallah, it's going to be a good read. I did some mutala, I did some research on it today. It was quite a nice read for today.
Listen to Felicity.
Yeah. It has a very interesting setup. The first part is aqidah,
Yeah.
what we believe in, and then the second part is salat, and a little bit of zakat and so on. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa sallallahu ala nabiyil ummi. Now, this part of the book, the author speaks about our focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what level of focus it should be. So, focus and expectation. So, there's two sayings we're going to go through. One is our focus, and and the second part is our expectation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, radiyallahu anhu, لا ترفعن إلى غيره حاجة هو موردها عليك فكيف يرفع غيره ما كان له واضعا من لم يستطع أن يرفع حاجة عن نفسه فكيف يستطيع أن يكون لها من غيره رافعا. So the author mentions, do not raise your concerns and your needs to anyone besides the Lord who put the need onto you. Do not present your needs to someone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's the one that gave you those needs. And how can you present your needs to someone when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gave you those needs, and He's the one there to whom needs should be presented? It's like a department where you get a specific type of help, and for some reason we're constantly going to the wrong department. Yeah, wrong place. So you're constantly going to be told, like, what are you doing here, man? Go to the other place. You'll get better help there. So, and then he goes deeper into it, and he says that if you go to someone who's elite, somebody who's very special, a person of rank, so let's just say you go to someone who's financially well-to-do, and you ask him for a big amount of wealth. But then he's constantly working for that amount of wealth. So if you're going to ask him for financial help, while that person himself is looking for more wealth, then wouldn't he keep that money for himself then? That's exactly what he says. فَكَيْفَ يَسْتَطِيعُ? How is he going to be able to help someone else when he's always thinking about helping himself? And this brings us to an amazing story. A well-to-do person came to a saintly person. The saintly person was busy with his amazing lifestyle of worship and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this well-to-do person saw him. He was influenced by his lifestyle. So he goes back and brings a big bag of wealth and goes, here, Sheikh, it's for you. And then the Sheikh asks him a very tricky question and is hinting to the end of the saying. He says, do you work for more?
Do you?
Do you work for more? Do you try to earn more money? The guy's like, yeah, I have a business and whatever, I try hard to make more. He's like, okay, then I think you should keep that bag. I think you should keep that bag of money because I don't look for more. I don't try to have more, so that means you're in need and I'm not.
Yeah.
So he's not. So basically, he's hinting to the hadith where he mentions richness is richness of the heart. Richness is the richness of the heart. It's not a number in the bank account. Somebody can have 1,000 in his account, but he's feeling like a king. A person has 1,000, and he's feeling like a king. And somebody could have 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000, but he's hungry for more. So is richness a number or a state? Richness is a state. So we can achieve that same state without working for the money. That's why you can make somebody feel poor if the person himself hasn't called himself poor inside his mind. You cannot put somebody down who doesn't feel down about himself. So if you call somebody poor and the guy's like, I'm fine, I'm really happy in my state, then he cannot be put down because he doesn't allow people to put him down. Let's just say the person has an average lifestyle, average home, average food, average clothing, and somebody well-to-do says, oh, you're poor, aren't you? The person can be like, no, I'm completely happy in my state. I am not working extra hours and overtimes, and I'm not looking for great opportunities to invest. I'm completely fine. So, and then I think some of our minds will be like, oh no, but what if you hit jackpot and you have a lot of money, then you can retire, right? Sometimes your mind will say that to you. And many times people that hit jackpot and make big money at once, they're still very tired after a little while, because as soon as you reach a certain state in life, you get bored of it. So even if you hit a really good amount of wealth, the next morning you're gonna be like kind of bored. You can go to vacation for 1 year, 2 years. After that, you get tired of vacation, you want to come back to normal life. And you feel lost. That's where in Surah Kahf, when Musa alayhi salam was lost on his way to see Khidr alayhi salam, he mentions, لَقَدْ لَقِينَا مِن سَفَرِنَا هَذَا نَصَبًا. We're really tired of this journey. So under there, the muhaddithin, they mention that whenever you're not on the path in life, and you're kind of off track, that's where life becomes really depressing. And you feel lost because you're not on the track. And once you come back to the track, there's a sense of normalcy back. That's why on a weekend you might feel a little lost. On a Monday morning you're back to focus.
Yeah.
Think about that. Saturday, Sunday, your brain is like going crazy. You're thinking Iran to Iran, like what do I do? Do I go play here? Do I go try this? Do I watch this cartoon? Do I watch this movie? Do I play this game? What do I do? And your brain is going crazy. And then Monday morning, although you might be a little tired, but then you realize, oh, alhamdulillah, back to normal. Yeah, have to go. So now your brain feels more calm now. Although somebody might say, well, you're going back to work. Yes, it's back to work, but it's a purpose. That's why you'll be amazed how many well-to-do people have the most complications when they have zero real problems. But the inner doubts come in. And if you study some of these rich people, especially their kids, they're the ones that go crazy because they have no challenges.
Yeah.
They have serious self-doubt.
Your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich people's kids, they have crazy problems. Because you can easily make fun of someone who doesn't have to work hard. Remember that. You can make fun of someone who doesn't work hard, easily. Just be like, oh yeah, dad's wealth, eh? Good job. I work for mine. So he could be driving a $500,000 car. You got a $10,000 car. You're like, oh, my car, your dad's car. Big difference, boy. I work for this one. You got that as a daddy's gift. And you know how much that hurts?
Yeah.
A lot. Because it means that you have it easy.
Yeah.
And we hate being told we have it easy. So remember, don't hate, even if your job is hard, I don't care what kind of job you do. You can look down on it. And even if some people think it's a lowly job, I never see any jobs as lowly. Somebody could be like, give me any example of that. Somebody might think of a lowly job. Anyone? Any type of a job?
In a factory.
Factory. Anything else? Let's just say,
Security guard.
yeah, or plumbers or garbage men. Like I see them as noble jobs. You're doing something for the society.
Yeah.
If a garbage man doesn't work and
Yeah.
they go on strike, our city comes to an end.
Yeah, that's for
You can't walk to the masjid without smelling something terrible on the way here. Plumbers, if they don't come, subhanAllah, you'll be running out of your own homes because you'll smell so bad inside the house.
sure.
So that brings us to a story. Once somebody came to Umar radiallahu anhu, if I'm not mistaken, and he said, I have a problem. Somebody is defaming me.
Mm-hmm.
And even in today's law, defamation, badnami,
Mm-hmm.
is you can actually sue people for defamation,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you're making me look bad. So he said, how do you know the person is defaming you? Do you have any proof? He's like, oh yeah, he wrote some poetry against me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something like, da'il makarima la tarhal li bughyatiha. Like, leave hard works and don't go out searching for them.
Mm-hmm.
And don't go out in, achieving high level stuff. Leave it. And then it mentions that at the end, فَإِنَّكَ طَاعِمُ الْكَاسِ, because you got clothes and food. Because you have clothes and food. So, Khalifa, whoever that was, I think it was Umar radiallahu anhu, so he said, where's the problem in this sentence? Where's the defamation?
Mm-hmm.
He said at the end, he's making fun of me. He's saying, you got food and clothes. So he goes, you're a sissy, sit at home. Somebody's taking care of you, boy. So he goes, that's hurting my ego because he's telling me you got it easy. So he's telling me I got nothing and I have it too easy. My parents are taking care of me. So that's where the defamation is. He's saying I'm lazy. I don't have to go out and search for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where he said, oh, okay, that's where he's making fun of you because he's saying you have it too easy.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing when we present our cases to people who are also looking for more, then it's a conflict of interest. He wants more money and you're seeking his money. He wants more money and you want his money. How is that going to be a friendship? It's not going to work. He's going to hate you because you're asking him for wealth. And he's trying to make more. So, zero,
Office.
inshallah. So, yeah, so basically keep your needs between you and your Lord. Although this brings us to a very important discussion that takes place under the Surah Fatiha, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. We only worship you, we only ask you for help.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't mean we cannot ask for common help from other people.
Mm-hmm.
It means those helps that are sought from our Lord, that's you for us. Like the kind of help that we can only ask from beyond humans, we're only going to ask you. We're not going to ask the Jannat or the Malaika or some wali or some saint. Like for example, you need a child, you want to have good health. So you're not going to make dua to the angels or the Jannats or some jadoo or some magic or something like that. You're just going to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who are you asking for help? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't mean the little things you can ask for help. For example, you say, oh, can you grab me a bottle of water? So that's not asking for help from somebody besides God. That is just common assistance. That's not what the ayat is talking about. The ayat is talking about worship. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. We only worship you. So the worship level help, where you're asking for divine help, divine meaning like godly. If you're asking for godly help, we only ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Mm-hmm.
But non-godly, like the human help, we can ask each other. So if you're cold, you're like, yo bro, can I borrow your heater? That's not against your tawheed. If your feet are cold, you ask for a pair of socks. That's not against tawheed. So here also, let's put a context to this saying, do not present your needs to someone besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is there for fulfillment of needs. Then we would say this applies to those needs that are only fulfilled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything that's less than that, we could ask each other for help, although the hadith does speak of begging and excessive questioning of others. So we should try our best if we are in a situation where we're kind of in need, then try our best, let's not ask others for help too often. If it's a dire situation, Fazail Sadaqat talks about this. When is it halal to beg? So it mentions, for example, begging for food. So it says if you've been hungry for 3 days straight. If you're hungry, you're surprised, eh? I like that. 3 days of hunger, then only can you beg. Amazing, eh?
Yeah.
So that's how independence, like Islam wants us to become.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, you can't die from food that quickly. Food, people do not die from food, hunger, that easily. There's levels, there's world records out there from 10 days to down to 50, 60, 70 days of no food.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Humans are very resilient. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us so amazing. So just a little bit of stomach pain means nothing in the survival world. Although it's uncomfortable, it comes and goes, the pain, hunger. But by the way, it only comes few times a day, then it goes away.
Yeah.
So if you're hungry, it comes like breakfast time, your stomach will start rumbling a bit, then lunchtime, then dinner time. But if you don't eat in between and at those times, it goes away, then you forget about it.
Sorry, yesterday I was watching a video where a little girl, she was following her father, and that's where she was lost in the jungle, in the forest with her dog. For 10 days constantly, she couldn't eat anything,
Oh.
and she was lost, and she could drink, but she was still safe, but really very tiny.
Yeah,
like
lost weight.
Yes.
Yeah, so our body stores a lot of fat. In fact, if a person tries to lose fat, that's when they realize it's really difficult to lose a lot of high level fat. The last 10% or 15% is really hard to lose.
Yeah.
That's why many of the physical, athletic world, they when they try to go down to a really low level, it's impossible.
Yeah, even if you measure it in the upper through some device,
Yeah,
and your body fat percentage is 10-15%, they'd say you're in athletic level.
yeah,
When it goes above 25%, they say it's obese, but if you are 8 to 10%, then it's say it's really, really fit level.
yeah. Although if you
Yeah.
look at your body, there will be a little bit of layer of fat on the side,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
what they call the love handle. It's impossible to lose that.
Yeah.
Because, sure, or somebody's there, they're gonna close it. So, yeah, so the love handles and all that fat doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're talking about fat, and they say generally a male body, they can lose weight, but a woman's body is not such that they can lose weight. A woman is only able to maintain weight. They're not able to lose weight. So remember that. It's really interesting thing. A woman's body, they're more, for example, let's just say a lady is overweight by 10, 20 pounds. It's really hard for her to lose that. Compared to a man can lose his weight very fast. Women are not meant to lose weight easily. She can maintain that weight, let's just say she's 170. So she can maintain that weight by working out. But to go back to 150, that's much harder for a woman compared to a man.
Oh.
So genetically, they're hardwired to hold on to the weight because of the needs of the children. So a mother gives birth, so she needs extra energy, and if she's breastfeeding also, she needs extra energy. So those two reasons, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such for the woman body, it's really hard for them to lose weight.
I thought it's also not good for them to have a lot of weight if they're pregnant or planning to have kids. That can help, that can cause in certain other
Yeah,
complications.
for sure. That's true. Yeah. It's just that I guess as a healthy amount of fat and beyond that.
Yeah, true.
That's what that'll be the defining line.
True.
And the next part is so beautiful, and it says even if you're not able to fix your expectations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe you're being a little negative that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't take care of you, then at least do this. Base your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on your past experiences with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because has he ever done anything that wasn't so special and that wasn't so kind? So he's just do that. If you have a hard time being optimistic, then at least look back and look how we leave reviews for the stuff. What's your review with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Has he ever been harsh on you? It's not so deep. He's if you're so negative and pessimistic for the future, Look back, how have you ever had complaints about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His relation and His
So,
dealing with you? No. So He says, إِن لَمْ تُحْسِنْ ظَنَّكَ بِهِ لِأَجْلِ حُسْنِ وَصْفِهِ. If you're not able to fix your expectations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala despite of His beautiful traits, then فَحَسِنْ ظَنَّكَ بِهِ لِوُجُودِ مُعَامَلَتِهِ مَعَكَ. At least fix your expectations of how He'll deal with you. فَهَلْ عَوَّدَكَ. Do you have any adat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except it was really special, it was really kind? Do you have any times where you experienced anything less than nice? وَهَلْ أَسْتَى إِلَيْكَ إِلَّا مِنَنَا. Has He ever given you anything besides favors? Has He given you anything besides a ni'mat? Meaning He gives you ni'mat here, ni'mat there, ni'mat here, ni'mat there. So what are you scared of? And many times as believers, we have like a knot in our minds, in our heart. We're like, oh, but if only this can happen, then I'll be happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he'll be in my good books. For some reason, we have this very shaitanic thought that we're waiting for something to happen, and then I'm going to be happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right now, I'm okay. He's okay.
Is that waswasa?
No, it's more than a waswasa. It's us making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like judging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on passing Him. Like, oh, if Allah does this, then I'll pass Him, then He'll be my good Lord. So it's a very negative, problematic understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my Lord only if He does exactly what I say to Him. And that's very problematic as it sounds. It sounds ridiculous just me saying it. But the Quran hints toward this. There are those who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala harfin. They worship Allah on a certain line. That if something good happens, they're like, oh yeah, I believe in the Lord. And if something negative happens, they're like, yeah, actually, I don't know about this godly stuff. Like, I'm out.
Actually, I was watching one of the video. There's a scholar, he was giving teaching. He was teaching about how we should love Allah. And he was like, if you think about materialistic things that Allah has given you, for example, eyesight, and you say, well, I love Allah because He's given me eyesight. What if you lose this eyesight? So you're not going to love Him then? It shouldn't be just materialistic love.
Yeah, your love should be, basically we should recognize Allah through our blessings. But then after that, we should teach ourselves that my Lord does give me blessings, but if He takes away a blessing, that doesn't mean He's not blissful, He doesn't give us blessings. It's just that He's testing me in that one blessing. And you mentioned eyes. There's actually a hadith that talks about eyes. It mentions that whenever I test my servant and I take away his two beloveds, I take away his two loves, and he stays patient, then I give him Jannah. And the two beloveds, the hadith mentions, is the eyes. Yeah. So, vision is a big ni'mat. The Quran talks about it every now and then. When it comes to the ni'mats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it mentions sam'an wa sam'an. Yeah, so I think it's at the end of Surah Mulk. I'm forgetting the exact word, I don't want to guess it, but that's what it is. So having the ability to hear and the ability to see, they're our five, out of the five senses, those are the two most dominant ones. So without them, life is very difficult. So if a person can open that knot that's keeping him like a little uncomfortable with his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as soon as we remove the knot, you realize there's nothing that He hasn't given you. At that stage, what you could have, you do have it already. Think of that. Think about that. Like what you think in that state, you have exactly what you need, and you have some extras, if not many. You have many extras already. It's just that we're thinking, oh, I need that one more extra, and then I'll be okay with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you just get rid of that silly thought, then you realize you have every single thing you need at that moment. So if I can remember correctly, the last time we read from this book, we were speaking about what happens in the grave to a good doer and a bad doer. So we spoke about that already. I'll read the last paragraph. It mentions, on the contrary, it is said to the disbeliever or a hypocrite after his saying, I know not. Then the angels say to him, you do not know, and you never recited the Quran. He then is struck with the iron hammer once, causing him to bellow a shout heard by all other than men and jinn. So he's punished basically in his grave. The punishment of the grave then is a reality for disbelievers as well as some of the disobedient believers. So adhab qabr is for kuffar and for some mu'mineen and muslimin, depending on if they were sinful and so on. And the opposite is also true, and the bliss of the grave is a reality for whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala most high wills it. So the blessing of the qabr and feeling the bliss is also a reality. So what the author is doing here, he's reiterating the things that we believe in, our aqidah basically. So that's what he's doing. And many times someone who is weak in the understanding of deen, they might have objections. So he's making sure to fight off those objections and to have a clear understanding of how our understanding of our deen is. And there's two ayats in the Quran that hint to the punishment of the grave. Because some people say, oh no, it's not mentioned in the Quran, it's only mentioned in the Hadith or something. So there are verses in the Quran and obviously many Hadiths that explain the punishment of the grave. There is benefit for the deceased believers when the living make dua, supplicate, and donate charity on their behalf. So this is a very important masala. Can you help someone who was a believer but they have passed away? Can you give them more good deeds? So our aqidah is yes you can. Our aqidah is yes you can. And then it comes down to what level can you send them rewards. So some people believe you can only pass them financial worships. And others believe, no, even physical worships you can still send to them.
Right. Sorry, just one thing. So, for example, passing the book to someone else, is that also a part of charity, right?
Yes.
But what if that book is taken by a new believer?
The book.
Yeah.
It will come down to how much he benefits from it, right? And the reward will come to you, and the reward from you will go to the person who you did it.
The same amount of reward?
For a believer and a disbeliever?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the benefit, it comes down to benefit. For example, we give a Quran to a kafir, and he becomes a Muslim. So isn't that a very, very, very big deed?
That's it. For sure.
Right? So that's what I'm saying, like the benefit.
Okay.
We don't know, like these are, like I think right now I said, oh, equal or the same amount of deed, but we don't know, like these are not things, it's not like there's a hadith that mentions if you give a good book, to a Muslim you get 50 rewards, but if you give it to a kafir you get 25 rewards. Like there's no hadith like that, right?
Okay.
So there's no specifics. How much rewards, it all comes down to sincerity and the benefits from it. The gathering of bodies and their revival on the Day of Judgment is a reality as well. The believer is given his book in his right hand and the disbeliever in the left hand. So that's done. The next thing he mentions is the mizan, the scale. The scale by which the measure of both good and bad deeds is known is placed. So he's hinting to the word in the Quran, وَنَضَعُ الْمَوَازِينَ. وَنَضَعَ, it means to put, is placed. The traverse, he's talking about the bridge now. The traverse is placed over the top of the fire and all creatures pass over it. I think here he means humans and jinns. Some cross at the speed of light, others like the wind, others like fast steeds, horses, others at a walking pace, and yet others like ants treading on earth, each individual crossing the bridge based on his level of faith and works. This crossing is considered to be the fright of the day of judgment for the believer. So he's hinting to a very heavy ayat where it mentions every single one of you will face it. The Quran mentions. So the Sahaba were shocked by the ayat. So they said, does that mean I'll have to go see Jahannam and like be inside it for a few seconds? Is that what the ayat is saying? So Nabi Sallallahu said, no, you will cross the bridge and that's you facing Jahannam. Otherwise, it doesn't mean you're going to be entering it for a few seconds. Every single one of you. إِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. That's the ayat. إِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. Every single one of you will do wurud. They will face Jahannam. So that's where it says wurud here would be you just crossing it, not you entering Jahannam. I guess we'll pause there now, inshallah.
Sure.
Alhamdulillah, we got this book. I'm considering starting this book. I had mentioned it before too. I don't know, should I do it?
Sure.
You're gonna be happy? Yeah, yeah. Look at you, smiling already. You're drooling already, like,
I told you, Ustad, the kids are waiting for me.
So a healthy Muslim marriage. It's a really good book. I sat down with it today. I read a few chapters. It was quite nice, mashallah. So I guess we'll go through it.
Yeah, Bismillah.
Inshallah, I guess we'll go through it. No, I don't mean like as in today right away.
Oh, okay.
But I mean like, should we do it as part of the weekly dars?
Think so. What's up? Like I wasn't here last week, but are people attending it or like?
People do come. New faces are coming every now and then.
Alhamdulillah.
Maybe that's one more reason for people to come, right? Because they need to
I
learn
think
about
Sheikh,
marriage.
because we have quite limited time, right?
Mm-hmm.
30-35 minutes. I think maybe you can keep this to these 2-3 books that you've been
Yeah.
doing. That one you can put on your other channel
Really?
when you're probably just doing by your own. That's another idea, right? Because that way we get to get more content from you, right? Because right now, I mean, you covering this 2 books, right? And
Yeah.
that takes pretty much 30-40 minutes, right?
It does.
Yeah. So then,
So leave that for something else.
yeah, leave that for your other channel, and you can just put like
That's
10-15
smart.
minutes of thing.
That's smart.
Yeah, like a short,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
That's
I
smart,
think
inshallah. We'll do that.
even random people, they love to watch short videos, so this
Yeah.
can be
Sure.
really helpful.
Inshallah, let's do that.
Inshallah.
Because I feel like it's sort of
Do you
hard
wanna
to
turn
get
this
the
off,
people.
please?
I mean, including myself, it's kind of hard to get the people in there